Okay, welcome back everybody to the Dream Whisper of Jesus, where we discuss and interpret prophetic dreams. Beautiful autumn afternoon, evening in Canberra. It's absolutely freezing this morning, but it's turned into a really nice afternoon, and then the temperatures will drop down tonight. Today I was going to share a brief prophetic update because one of my prophetic dreams about South Africa and Australia from 2018, it seems to be slowly coming true. So I'll just go briefly through that dream, and I'll put a link to my previous YouTube video in the description box below. So basically, way back in March 2018, I had a prophetic dream about South Africa, and I saw various things about South African politics that we really needed to pray about, and I believe by God's mercy and grace we've avoided that political situation. But the other thing I saw in the dream was a South African immigration wave to Australia, and I saw this, I knew they were South African people, and they all caught this wave into Sydney Harbour, Australia, and it was like this, it wasn't a really steep towering wave, but more just like a gentle curving wave with a long tail on it, and I interpreted this as a future immigration wave of white South Africans to Australia. And I've sort of been watching the data for the last 7 years and haven't really seen anything noteworthy to report, but just in the past few weeks the Australian Bureau of Statistics has released its latest immigration data for the past 12 months, and it did show something interesting, so I'll just briefly comment on it. So basically the Bureau of Statistics reported a 10,000 person increase of South Africans residing in Australia net, so that was quite a notable spike. Usually we have sort of a annual increase of 5 to 6, maybe even 7,000 South Africans living in Australia each year, but this was a notable spike up to 10,000, and now the total population in Australia is 224,000. And so I think this is just the beginning of the wave that I saw, and it will probably increase in future years, but we'll just have to wait and see. But it was just noteworthy to share that with my viewers. So yeah, I guess God has all human history in his hands. He's got the history of Australia and South Africa in his hands, but it's always, from a prophetic perspective, it's always encouraging in a sense if you see your prophetic dreams coming true. But obviously it's also can be a very difficult situation. I'll just briefly talk about my own history. I don't talk much about myself, but will do that today. But I'm a migrant to Australia, and in many respects, I did that out of necessity to improve my life, because my personal life was very complicated. But some of the most difficult years in my life have been in Australia, but also the most blessed, and I don't regret that decision at all, even though it did cause me a lot of pain to migrate to Australia. So it's a little bit like, for any person really, it's a little bit like the Bible story of Lot and Abraham, and they had a decision to go to the left or the right, and Abraham let Lot choose which way to go, and Lot chose the fertile lands. I didn't bring my tripod today, so I'm juggling a little bit. I'll just read it. Genesis 13 verse 10. Lot looked about him and saw that the plain of the Jordan was well watered everywhere, like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, in the direction of Zoar. This was before the Lord had destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. So Lot chose for himself all the plain of the Jordan, and Lot journeyed eastward. Thus they separated from each other. Abraham settled in the land of Canaan, while Lot settled among amongst the cities of the plain. So it's an interesting story, but Lot chose the easy path and the beautiful path, and in the end it didn't turn to, well, it turned into disaster. But Abraham was very faithful to God, and Abraham understood that if he obeyed God and followed the path that God wanted for him, that would be the blessed path. Not the path that looked easy, but the path where God is. That's where you want to go in your life. So yeah, that's been a little bit like my life story. Immigrating to Australia is incredibly hard at some points, but that was the blessed path, following God's will for my life. Okay, thank you all my brothers and sisters in Christ for listening. God bless you, and I'll catch you later. Bye bye.